Welcome back to a wicked historian.
History has no shortage of shocking secrets, but some are so disturbing, they almost don't feel real. Imagine being crowned ruler of a kingdom, only to be told, on the same day, you must marry your own brother. Not for love, not for tradition, but because power demands it. The year is 51 BC. Ancient Egypt is still dazzling temples, gold, legends, but behind the palace walls of Alexandria, the dynasty is collapsing from the inside. A teenage queen steps onto the throne, Cleopatra 7, smart, charismatic, ambitious, but she is not allowed to rule alone, because Egyptian law and a royal obsession requires her to share the crown with her younger brother, a boy king named Ptolemy XIII. And so, Cleopatra is forced into a marriage that isn't romance, it's politics. The Ptolemaic rulers, descendants of Alexander the Great's generals, have practiced sibling marriage for generations. They claim it keeps the bloodline divine, but the truth is darker. It keeps the throne locked inside the family. No outsiders, no rivals, no challenges. But Cleopatra is not a puppet queen. She speaks multiple languages, she understands diplomacy, and she knows Egypt is standing in Rome's shadow. The Roman Republic is expanding like a storm, and Egypt, once untouchable, is now a prize waiting to be taken. Inside the palace, Cleopatra's confidence makes enemies. Her brother's advisors whisper, she's too powerful. She wants the throne for herself. And soon, the royal marriage becomes exactly what it truly is, a war disguised as a partnership. Cleopatra begins signing documents without her brother's name. She appears alone on coins. It's a silent message, I am the ruler. Ptolemy's court panics. They cannot control her, so they do what royal courts always do. They plot. Within months, Cleopatra is driven out of Alexandria, exiled from her own kingdom, a queen with no palace. But exile doesn't break Cleopatra, it sharpens her. She escapes into the desert and begins raising an army. She is determined to take Egypt back. Meanwhile, inside Alexandria, the boy king sits surrounded by men who feed him fear. They tell him Cleopatra is dangerous, that she will destroy him, that only one sibling can survive, and Egypt trembles on the edge of civil war. Then, fate brings a new player into the story. A Roman general arrives in Egypt, a man whose name will echo through history, Julius Caesar. He comes chasing his enemies, but he finds something else instead, a kingdom in chaos, and a queen willing to gamble everything. Cleopatra knows this is her moment, but how does an exiled queen reach the most powerful man in Rome when her brother controls the palace? Legend says she is smuggled inside, hidden in a rolled carpet. Whether that detail is true or not, the message is clear. Cleopatra doesn't just walk into history. She breaks into it, and when Caesar meets her, the entire balance of power shifts. Because Cleopatra isn't asking for help, she's offering an alliance. And Ptolemy XIII has no idea that his sister is about to return, with Rome at her side. Because the next chapter isn't just about politics. It's about betrayal, war in the streets of Alexandria, and a brother king who will soon realize Cleopatra was never meant to share a throne. Blood in Alexandria. Cleopatra's return to Alexandria is not peaceful. It is not ceremonial. It is war. The palace becomes a battlefield. On one side, Cleopatra, backed by Julius Caesar. On the other, Ptolemy XIII, backed by his advisors and loyal soldiers. Egypt is tearing itself apart, the streets fill with riots. Fires spread through parts of the city. Even the great library of Alexandria may have suffered damage during the chaos. And at the center of it all is one horrifying truth. This real marriage was never meant to last. Because sibling rulers cannot coexist forever. One must fall. Caesar demands negotiations. But Ptolemy's court refuses to accept Cleopatra's authority. The boy king is furious. He believes Rome has stolen his kingdom, so he chooses the only option left, battle. The conflict explodes along the Nile. Cleopatra watches as Egypt's fate is decided not by gods, but by armies. Then comes the final moment. Ptolemy XIII attempts to flee across the river, but in the confusion, his boat capsizes. The young king disappears beneath the water, and just like that, Cleopatra's brother husband is gone. Dead before adulthood, dead before he ever truly ruled. Cleopatra is now queen alone, but Egypt's dark tradition continues. Because to rule properly, she must marry again, and once more. The husband is her younger brother, Ptolemy XIV, another child, another symbolic marriage. Another reminder that this dynasty survives through control, not love. But Cleopatra is no longer playing defense. She is building something bigger. Her alliance with Caesar becomes personal. She gives birth to a son, Caesarion, a child she claims is Caesar's heir. To Cleopatra, this is the future, a bloodline that ties Egypt to Rome itself. But Rome is not a safe ally, it is a beast, and in 44 BC, Julius Caesar is assassinated, stabbed in the Senate. The world changes overnight. Cleopatra loses her protector, and Egypt is vulnerable again. Now Rome's power struggle begins, and Cleopatra must choose her next move carefully, because the wrong choice will mean the end. Rehook for part 3, because Cleopatra's final alliance will bring her love, power, and total destruction. As Rome closes in for the last time, Cleopatra is back in Egypt, Julius Caesar is dead. Rome is changing. A new power is rising. Cleopatra knows Egypt is not safe anymore. Rome will return. Soon, a Roman leader appears. His name is Mark Antony. Mark Antony is strong. Mark Antony controls a large part of Rome's army. Mark Antony calls Cleopatra to meet him. Cleopatra does not arrive like a normal ruler. Cleopatra arrives like a queen. Cleopatra's ship enters the harbor. The ship is bright. The ship is covered in gold colors. There is music. There are torches. People watch in silence. Cleopatra wants Mark Antony to remember her. Mark Antony is impressed. Mark Antony and Cleopatra form an alliance. At first, it is political. Later, it becomes personal. Cleopatra and Mark Antony fall in love. They become partners. They dream of a powerful future. Cleopatra wants Egypt to stay independent. Mark Antony wants control of the Eastern world. Together, they believe they can challenge Rome. Cleopatra and Mark Antony have children. Cleopatra believes her dynasty will survive. But in Rome, another man is watching. His name is Octavian. Octavian is Julius Caesar's adopted son. Octavian is young. Octavian is cold. Octavian is very intelligent. Octavian does not trust Cleopatra. Octavian believes Cleopatra is dangerous. Octavian believes Mark Antony is choosing Egypt over Rome. Octavian begins spreading stories in Rome. Octavian tells the people, Cleopatra is controlling Antony. Antony is betraying Rome. Egypt is the enemy. The Roman people become angry. The Roman Senate supports Octavian. War becomes unavoidable. The final battle comes in 31 BC. The battle is called the Battle of Actium. It is a naval battle. Ships fill the sea. Smoke rises, men shout, weapons crash. Cleopatra's fleet begins to lose. Mark Antony's forces fall apart. The battle is a disaster. Cleopatra retreats. Mark Antony follows her. They escape back to Egypt, but Octavian follows them. Octavian does not stop. Octavian marches toward Alexandria. Soon, Alexandria is surrounded. The end is near. Inside the palace, fear spreads. Mark Antony hears false news. Mark Antony is told Cleopatra is dead. Mark Antony breaks down. Mark Antony believes everything is lost. Mark Antony takes his own life, but Cleopatra is still alive. Cleopatra rushes to him. Cleopa, as Octavian's forces breached the city walls, Antony, mistakenly believing Cleopatra was already dead, took his own life. He died in her arms, a tragic end to their epic romance. Now alone, Cleopatra was captured and held prisoner. Octavian visited her. offering false assurances while planning her public humiliation. But Cleopatra was no one's trophy. She was a pharaoh, a descendant of a long line of powerful rulers, and she would control her own destiny. She dressed herself in her finest royal robes, looking every bit the queen she was, and prepared for her final act. How did she die? The popular story says she smuggled a venomous asp into her chambers, hidden in a basket of figs. When the moment came, she allowed the snake to bite her, a death befitting an Egyptian royal, as the snake was a symbol of divine royalty. Others suggest she used a pin dipped in a potent poison. We may never know the exact method, but her intent was clear. She died on her own terms, defiant to the very end. She robbed Octavian of his victory parade and secured her place in history not as a captive, but as the last great queen of Egypt. Her death marked the end of an era, the fall of the Ptolemaic dynasty, and the rise of the Roman Empire. Cleopatra's story is just one of love and loss. It is a powerful tale of a woman who chose to die a queen rather than live as a prisoner. Thank you for watching. If you're fascinated by the powerful figures of history, be sure to subscribe for more stories.